Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. This is Dan, and we are going through the book, Whatever Rises, Love That, A Love Revolution That Begins With You by Matt Kahn. We are in chapter 11. I'm here this morning with my friends Jason and Catherine. Hopefully some others will jump on, but I know this gets to be the busy time of year where people are trying to take time off and go and enjoy and relax and do stuff. So hopefully they're safe and are okay if they're not going to jump on. So I will let Jason and Catherine jump out and introduce themselves. And then if Catherine doesn't mind, she always does such a great job on the reading. I would love it if she would do that again for us. So go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'll hop out. It's Jason in Tampa. Glad to be here. Good morning and happy weekend, everybody.
Good morning, everyone. This is Catherine Clement, and I will be glad to read. Thank you so much. Chapter 11, Everything is Significant. As greater communication is established with your inner child, the mind and heart merge so that you can remember your eternal nature once and for all. As everything is met with relaxed, heartfelt focus, you begin to see how quickly things can transform. Just by bringing a more engaged attention to the circumstances in view, you are becoming an open window of divinity that invites the winds of change to heal everything in sight. Beauty, the divine nature of love. The natural impulse of love is to acknowledge the existence of divinity in all. When love recognizes its divine origin, this is known as beauty. While it is common to associate such a word with attractive physical characteristics, recognizing beauty in this new way honors a moment in time in which the divinity of one discovers the truth of all in another. The more often you view your life through the eyes of divinity, the more beautiful you tend to feel. This may help you see the truth of beauty as a spiritual acknowledgement of cosmic innocence in physical form. The more open-hearted, gentle, and innocent anyone tends to be, the more beautiful they appear. Even when the ups and downs of life have overwhelmed the lives of those around you, the ugliness of their cruel behavior helps you acknowledge someone who is desperate to be supported and encouraged at a more intimate level. Instead of trying to change someone's experience or imposing spiritual ideas onto others, you can invite the beauty and innocence of their divine nature out of hiding just by reaching out in a more thoughtful way. If you already see the innocence in others and beauty in the world, this simply acknowledges how spiritually aligned you already are. Once this level of alignment is active in you, I invite you to take it even one step further by turning your instinctive awareness into an inspired spiritual practice. So even those who hide their innocence behind defenses, pain, criticism, and selfishness can remember how beautiful they were always created to be. Just by, excuse me, give me just 1 second. Just by catching a glimpse of something that passes you by, you are acknowledging the innocence and beauty of its existence, simply by allowing it to come into view. This is the gift of significance. Whenever life is honored with significance, every person, place, and thing can be celebrated for the vital and equal role it plays throughout the divine plan. Since everything is composed of matter, the consciousness within each form remembers how important it is when invited to be seen. As you realize the powerful gift of significance that can be offered to the world, the beauty and innocence of all begins to shine through at a more accelerated rate. Perhaps the characters around you are more likely to treat you with respect and honor your divinity when they are offered the gift of your loving approval. What if you're waiting for a person's behavior to change before taking the time to cherish their existence is precisely why they lash out? In the love revolution, a tendency to withhold attention fuels the flames of personal conflict, whereas loving the hearts in view invites something deeper to the surface. This doesn't excuse cruel behavior or justify toxic relationships in any way. Providing you are in a safe environment that does not threaten your innocence, it is your willingness to witness and speak to the beauty of all that reveals a truth beyond description. If, however, you find yourself regularly threatened, dominated, betrayed, manipulated, or abused by others, you can honor their innocence as well as your own by removing yourself from volatile environments. Without anyone to control or hurt, a more potent healing journey can unfold once another person's cruelty is no longer distracted by the radiance of your being. Give me just 1 second. Becoming rooted in the body. From a spiritual standpoint, love is an instinctive act of acknowledging something as divine in nature, no matter how it may appear to you. When such a depth of truth has dawned in your heart, everything will be recognized in this beautifully breathtaking way. This includes an understanding that any moment you fail to see the divine origin of anyone is the exact moment that life invites you to stop and remember what is divine about you. One way to remember the nature of your divinity is by offering more significant attention to the parts of yourself that may often go overlooked. The more often your body is cherished and adored, the faster it transforms. What if you began referring to your body as beautiful, no matter how it functions, has been judged by others, or has been perceived by you? Just by saying, "Hello, beautiful," you're not only creating a greater connection between the mind and heart, but celebrating the truth of your body as divinity in form. Since your body is the universe, you can greet each part with, "Hello, beautiful," as a way of sending infinite blessings and waves of healing energy to every corner of the cosmos. If you notice any kind of embarrassment bubbling up when saying, "Hello, beautiful," this is an unsuspecting sign of spiritual evolution. From a cosmic perspective, the awareness of embarrassment represents the mask of ego cracking apart. Even though it might feel intense or uncomfortable, the presence of shyness or embarrassment confirms how courageously your innocence is attempting to open up. Can you sense a difference in how relaxed you feel when showing renewed interest in your hands, organs, legs, fingers, or other parts of your body? Notice how each part is committed to maneuvering you through time and space to serve the joy of your highest destiny. As each part plays a significant role in your journey, why not take a moment to say, "Hello, beautiful," to it? Beyond the immediate sensation of shyness or embarrassment, you may notice how extraordinarily whole you become when all parts of yourself are equally acknowledged. This also sends an important message to your innocence that frees it from creating problems or imbalances just to be on the receiving end of your loving attention. When we were children, it might have been common to have felt the most kindness and care from others when we were sick or in pain. That often can create a subconscious belief that invites the body to manifest pain or illness as a way of inviting a greater connection with those we love. The majority of illness and physical pain acts as critical stages of spiritual growth, where the physical body takes the time to catch up and become more aligned with the rapidly expanding consciousness of the soul. It's amazing to see how more healthy, aligned, and balanced you can be whenever loving attention is freely offered on an unconditional basis. It's not as if someone with an illness should cause you to think they must not love themselves enough. That would be an unfortunate judgment projected upon someone whose innocence needs more support and encouragement through critical stages of growth and expansion. And yet, when loving what arises as a way of supporting yourself throughout each gain and loss, your body no longer has to use imbalance or desperate behavior as a way of seeking the power of your approval. When you acknowledge yourself with, "Hello, beautiful," you're informing your heart that it no longer has to create problems, manifest dramas, or sabotage any aspect of your life in order to earn the attention that you can freely provide. Whether as a way of greeting your innocence in the morning, acknowledging the efforts of your body at the end of the day, complimenting yourself regularly, or giving blessings you share with others, "Hello, beautiful" remains as an effective way to bring forth a new spiritual paradigm that inspires the world to heal. This is what it means to start your own love revolution. It is discovering the courage, passion, and desire to reveal your divine qualities, incredible talents, and remarkable abilities for the benefit of all, at the rate in which loving yourself becomes your most deliberate spiritual practice. I think that's good.
Yeah, I do too. I was going to jump in and say, um, so what I like so far, even with this next chapter 11, just the very title of it, everything is significant. And I think the overlying thing I'm getting with that little title is that the way you look at yourself is significant, because if you can't look at yourself and love yourself freely and openly and as fully as you want, how can you give out that same kind of love? I think if you know, I think like in one of the little parts that you read, Catherine, where it was talking about how, when we can go to that innocent and give love when somebody's hurting or something to that effect, and we just genuinely love them, how that transcends to the other person, and then they tend to open up a little bit more, that there is a healing in that, and that we need to learn to help heal ourselves, I think, first in some ways, so then that way we can then turn around and push that same love back out in the appropriate times and places where people will need that, so they can hopefully turn inward to themselves and love themselves a little bit more. Any thoughts from you two?
Well, I agree with you. The title of the chapter is significant because it's amazing how everything works for the benefit eventually. Like, we may not understand things going on at certain times in our lives, but then later on it all makes sense, and timing is always divine. And yesterday I was reminded again of just how perfect and magical life can be, which I am reminded daily, but I got a double dose yesterday. So, but I think that he's, hits on a lot of good points in this chapter. And I like how he reminds us not to judge people with illness, because a lot of people judge people with illness, whether it's mental illness or pain or, whatever they've got going on. Especially Like you would think that, quote, spiritual people wouldn't be as judgmental about something like that, but it's almost like they get more judgmental about it because suddenly, if you're unable to heal yourself or cure yourself of whatever, then you must not be spiritually aligned or whatnot. It's kind of a judgment that comes out against that. And I I don't know the answers to everything, so it's certainly possible, but I would like to think that it's more of a um, it's part of the process of learning to love yourself and learning to, certainly like what he talks about, loving your body and really making that pact with your body and acknowledging the connection that you are actually two separate things that have come together as one to have this experience, and really acknowledging that because we don't tend to think of it as two separate things that have joined um, for this experience. And I mean, you've got your best friend with you all the time, basically. And when people have illnesses of whatever kind, they tend to get angry at their body and start judging it, and that just causes more issues. So learning to love the physical aspects that you dislike is certainly part of that process, but also there's a lot more. um, Everybody comes here with their own challenges to grow from, and so I don't know that we necessarily just fix everything and suddenly uh, like beam up Scotty, get beamed up by Scotty or something. You know what I mean? Like it's not like we just suddenly, oh, okay, we just checked off the last thing and off we go. I mean, maybe that's how it works. I don't know. Maybe that's why it appears that people transition before we expect them to, because suddenly they checked off their last box and their last check mark. Maybe it was a kindness of letting a spider out of the house or something, and that was it. Off they go. We don't know.
Well, a little bit of what you said made me go back to not that first paragraph, in the beginning of the chapter, but where he says beauty is the divine nature of love. And he says the natural impulse of love is to acknowledge the existence of divinity in all. And I think that's something that might be a little key, is we have to go back and remember we're all human, yes, but we're all here through however you look at it. Yes, we're born, but I think, our soul, we are all divinely connected with, to me, God, source, infinite intelligence, the universe, however you look at it. And then it says, when love recognizes its divine origin, this is known as beauty. And I think that's something in the human existence and throughout history, there have been placed arbitrary designations of what is supposed to be beautiful, what's supposed to be this, what's supposed to be that, and we all tend to fall into it and kind of get caught up in that. Sometimes we don't realize we're caught up, or we try not to, but we still get kind of caught up, because we'll even beat ourselves up over, like, there's some things about my body I absolutely hate, but I've had to learn and understand that this is how I was created. And by learning to grow and accept that, I think in some ways I've become able to be more comfortable with myself and love myself more, so then that way when I see other people, I can look at, hopefully, past some of the arbitrary things that are placed out there and see that true beauty, where while he says, well, it's common to associate such word with attractive physical characteristics. And I think we need to kind of peel that away a little bit. Recognizing beauty in this new way honors a moment in time in which the divinity of one, and I think this is the key part, discovers the truth of all in another, meaning that we, I think, start seeing the truth of beauty of everybody for themselves rather than looking at them through the lens of what has been arbitrarily placed. And I think that's something that's maybe is starting to come about more, where, for a lot of years, women were pushed to live up to a certain ideal and men were pushed to look up to a certain ideal. Whereas, because whether people, realize or not, men are pushed to a certain ideal too, and to live up and be looking at this and that, and we tend to get so caught up in that to where I think we drag ourselves down and we're get so caught up in that and then tortured and kind of hate ourselves when we were perfectly created to be who we are, I believe. And that's the beauty. And we need to go back to that. And I think that's something that if we start getting back to that, then the true beauty of a person's essence shines through. And then that love can radiate out more and deeper towards everybody else. I hope what I said makes sense.
Made sense to me. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I think that's it's a good way to look at it. This is all very very deep stuff, the idea of trying to see things from through the eyes of divinity. I mean, just that is just kind of hard for me to wrap my mind around, and that and trying to see beauty in a different way, especially when we're considering the things that ail us personally. And though I do sort of see how, if we're open to that we can start to see ourselves as part of a whole, as a part of like universal creation, and less as singular beings, and that we can having love for ourselves and through ourselves, and can help us to not only heal ourselves and have a better mindset, but help to heal others and help those around us also have a better mindset, I guess.
Well, I think like in the part where it says becoming rooted in the body, and it says from a spiritual standpoint, love is an instinctive act of acknowledging something as divine in nature. And I think in some ways we all try to do that. When we all see love in its pure form, acting in its pure form, we all can see it and we're drawn to it, because I think that's something that we all aspire to and want to. And when such a depth of truth has dawned in your heart, everything will be recognized in this beautifully breathtaking way. And this includes an understanding that any moment you fail to see the divine origin of anyone is the exact moment that life invites you to stop and remember what is divine in you. And that's, I think, a little bit key there, to remember that we all have our hangups, we all have our things, whether taught, learned, or even instinctively something that we just look at ourselves and it's like, ugh, and but if we can learn, and I like that, out in society, some people are saying, no, I'm beautiful just as who I am. Can't you, why can't we love somebody for their essence, for their heart, for their character, for the love they radiate out, rather than fixating on everything that we perceive to be beauty? Because I think, you can, if you look for beauty in things, you can find it. You just have to take that extra step and that intentionality to look and search for it. And sometimes we're so caught up in everything and in our own muck and everyday life and what's going on, and going to work, this, that, the other thing, that we forget sometimes to stop. And I think now that the saying "stop and smell the roses" has taken on a little bit more of a new meaning for me. Because I think roses are beautiful. I think a beautiful rose, a yellow rose or a red rose, or whatever color you can look at it and see that innate beauty of it and appreciate it for that, even though down in the bush that they grow on, there's thorns all over the place. But you look past that and you see the beauty of the rose. And I think if in society, in the world, if we could learn to get past the pretenses and what we think everything should be, that might help open our eyes more to seeing and allowing the true love to flow.
Yeah, I think that it's almost as if, what I'm getting out of it is that if you can be more open to loving yourself and cherishing, finding things to cherish about yourself and your own body, and that it, and your own thoughts and ways, that it opens you up. It opens you to taking on the next positive step in energy, mindset, so that then you're closer to the next level. And then if you open further, then you're closer to the next level, and then it can sort of culminate into this transformation that they're talking about. I'm not sure. I mean, it talks about the transformation of your body, and I think maybe what is difficult is that we'd like to expect that that certain things about us should just come naturally, and so it's frustrating when it doesn't. But I like what your example earlier in regards to how we are held up to certain certain standards or certain ideals in society that sort of cause us to get pulled away from perhaps our true divine and beautiful nature, where we sort of get distracted and lost from being able to see things as, in their beautiful nature, as God or the universe has intended it.
Well, I like what you were just saying, Jason. And as you said something that made me think a little bit more, and it took me to this paragraph in the part about becoming rooted in the body. It says, can you sense a difference in how relaxed you feel when showing renewed interest in your hands, organs, legs, fingers, and other parts of your body? Notice how each part is committed to maneuvering you through time and space to serve the joy of your highest destiny. As each part plays a significant role in your journey, why not take a moment to say, hello, beautiful? And I think in working through that, I went to another thought where when we see somebody who kind of is willing to put themselves out there and say, no, look, I'm beautiful in and of who I am, and even though you may not, when you look at me, you may not see me as that because of what society has placed on. I see, and I think what they're saying is I am seeing myself as beautiful. And I think in a lot of ways we're all pulled towards that because of the strength and the ability for them to say that and do that and articulate that. So therefore, that's, I think, what a lot of us are wanting to be able to do, and maybe have not found that strength or that fortitude yet, but we're very drawn to it because then it's like, we'd like that strength. I think is part of it, that ability to say, no, that's just your perception of me, but really I am this beautiful person. I love myself enough to know that, yes, I am. And I think that draws people in, and I think it helps open eyes a little bit. Granted, there's going to be a lot of people that will say, oh, but this or that, or try to put that down. But if you really look at it and pay attention, and then go back to yourself and look at that for yourself, and and start accepting and loving yourself for the way you were created. Because to me, I go back to, I think I'm perfectly created with my flaws, and those flaws serve as purpose that do make me unique and make me different. But they're the parts that, if I put them into the right perspective, that's part of what makes me beautiful, and I should love that part, not tear it down. And I think, if we build that up more in each other, I think we can do, again, more love, I think, gets radiated out.
Yeah, that makes sense. As you were speaking, I was, kind of thinking like that, trying to understand what you're saying in regards to that, as us kind of taking away the obstacles that we're putting in front of ourselves through our own thought processes, by aligning ourselves with what's with the beauty that's within each of ourselves, and not being judgmental of ourselves as we might think others are being judgmental of us as well. clearing that all up so that we are able to better receive and transmit the positive, loving energies that we can.
Well, I think another thing, because I was now again, as you were just saying, we're going back and forth here because now you made me think of something else, that I think our inherent overall mankind inherent need to want to be liked, appreciated, included, sometimes does not help, and we tend to force that arbitrary feel or that desire into ourselves and go to that rather than going back to ourselves and saying, no, this is really me, so people can see the real you shine through and have that love radiate out, rather, because when you're not being your authentic, that authentic part of yourself, I think people sense that, and I think people feel that, but so much of what's been placed out there in society arbitrarily, we just get so caught up in that, and it's hard to break free of that.
Sure. It just could be so difficult, and I've only experienced rarely, but I agree that it can be very difficult to be positive and feel your have love for yourself when things in your life or your things in your about your body or ailments or whatever are keeping you from enjoying the life that you see everyone else enjoying, and that keeping you from being able to participate. So I just feel for that, so, but I do think we are so much more powerful than the physicalness of our bodies, and that there's just more to us than that. And so if we're able to kind of transcend what we expect of ourselves and what society expects of us, and in a energy mindset way, then there's a lot more that we can achieve, and even a lot more that's open and available to us when than there is for those who are just caught up in the physicality of our existence, and what society is pressuring us to do and be, and all that. So.
I like what you said earlier, Jason. I thought it was a really good reminder to people, because often we might not think that we're judging ourselves sometimes, but the way that we do it is through the voices of others. Because we don't really, unless somebody is speaking out loud to us, we have no idea what is going on in their mind, And so we can sit there and say in our mind, oh, they think this about me, or I know they're thinking this about me, or what, we can do that until the cows come home. and make ourselves like super miserable. And it's really our way of judging ourselves, but we like try to project that onto somebody else, which, I mean, it's in a way, it's that in itself serves, because that should be like a little red flag to us that says, hey, you're judging yourself. But we have to get to the point where we can recognize that that's what we're doing by using those other voices to judge ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
And so I love that you brought that out, because I catch myself doing that. And thankfully, you know, I catch myself doing it. So, but it wasn't always that way. And I think it's, you know, not so much about, I mean, I understand like with Abraham and just like physical energy, like vibrational frequency levels. But as far as quote enlightenment goes, we are already there. Our higher self is there. Like, it's really more a matter of removing the blocks that we kind of get as humans. And those blocks are not these huge spiritual, you know, blow your mind experiences. Sometimes it's like recognizing that you're judging yourself through somebody else's voice. Right? It's like those little things. And when you remove enough of those little things, then you get to the point where you can, you know, thankfully not only see that pure loving innocence in a child, but see that in the homeless person on the street, or see that in the murderer or the rapist, or, you know, whatever you consider to be the worst thing. When you can look at that person and recognize God, then you can be more forgiving towards yourself.
I think that's a great point that you just brought out, Catherine, because I was just thinking, I know for me, in the times when and I think this might kind of go along with what you say, and how I look at it, is when I focus more on God or the higher, you know, that aspect, and keeping focused in that, as I look to that and trying to remember how wonderfully and perfectly created I am, and keep to that, that's when I think I see myself better and love myself better. And I think it's when I let everything out here kind of jump in and get in the way, and start listening and believing that, that's when I get caught up in everything. And I'll be honest, I'm going to say, even and circumstances, I think, can also bring that about. When you're going through rough times or rough struggles, and you're going through that, that's also, I think, a time when you kind of beat yourself up too, because you tend to then go inward and look at yourself and say, well, why did this happen? Why did that happen? What, you know, and then you start judging yourself on that aspect too, rather than staying focused on, you know, that all of this plays together to help bring me to the point of hopefully realizing that all this works together for something greater, that is a positive thing, and that through it I need to continue to love myself through it, so that way I don't let myself get caught up in everything that's out there, and more focused on that, and let that bring me down. I think that's something else that can be a big thing, you know. And I'm going to say, whether it's financial, personal, you know, work related, you know, anything. I think, you know, if we let everything out there in life kind of, it goes back to, like you said, learning to go back to that innocence and seeing yourself in that higher space, I guess.
Yeah. And I think from a practical standpoint, that when we are recognizing the beauty in others, and that and sending love out into the world, that we recognize what was said earlier in the book, that we do it in a way in which we are first loving ourselves. You know how last week Samantha was talking about how we how we can have these aggravations stir up inside of ourselves in regards to the things that are around us, and our thoughts and opinions about things outwardly are actually a reflection of the things that we are experiencing inside. And much in the same way, I think it makes sense and is actually a little more empowering to love everything in our environment in a way in which we are doing it. I think it was in this book that he mentioned earlier on in the chapters, that we are first, as we send out this love into the world, we're sending it through our heart, and so we're first loving ourselves. We're the first to receive that love, and I like to think that we can send that love to ourselves into our own being, and then amplify it in order to send it out into the world, but that we are the first receivers of that love, rather than expending our energies trying to bless the world and recognize the good and the beauty in the world around us. We are actually sending that love into our own being first and foremost, and with the intention of amplifying it and then dispersing it out to the universe. I think I like thinking of it that way, just because it seems like, when we're asking of ourselves to love everything else in the world and all these other people, and even when we're seeing the obvious things that we don't really agree with, whatever, that it just seems really draining if we're just doing that, and I think we're missing a great opportunity to be part of that love that we're sending out into the world. So I just like looking at it that way.
Now after hearing you say that and revisiting that thought, to me, I think that by experiencing it first ourselves, that I think gives us the opportunity to open ourselves as it goes out, to be more open to then, I think, more open and ready to receive it back in a natural form and without the perceptions of what has been placed out there by everything else. Because I think when it's real, we feel that it's real and genuine. I think we know and sense it and feel it. and other people know the same thing, when we're putting that same genuine, real love out, they sense it and feel it too. And I think that's, and by going through us first, I think that opens us to that to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, in that, kind of a big part of having that, or being open, or that it indirectly does that, opens us up to being able to better receive what we, the love that we're everyone is deserving. Yeah, because if we're otherwise, we're closed off to all that good energy, and in that way we kind of end up, like we said earlier, throwing that obstacle in our own way when we're not open to it.
I think that we are, and I don't mean this from an egotistical way. I think it's two completely different things, but I think we give ourselves far too little credit. There are a lot of people on the planet going through tremendous challenges, and just being on this planet is a challenge, even if you were supposedly handed the silver spoon or whatnot. There's challenges that come with that as well, like not having freedom. If you think about, being born into royalty or something, like they don't even get to go to the bathroom by themselves half the time. I mean, seriously, like, no matter what the life looks like, it has its challenges, and it also has its blessings. Many people think just because we have electricity and air conditioning and, more food than what we could eat and all of that people say here in America should just be the happiest people of anybody on earth. And that's not the case at all, is it? Like, we're the ones with all the mass shootings and the highest use of psychiatric pharmaceuticals. And I mean, we're just the highest of everything, and we're not the highest population. So I just, we have to give ourselves credit for, I mean, think about like sure, we get into our little moods, but all in all, think about all the good thoughts and, like, quote, good deeds that we do on a daily basis, no matter how small or insignificant they may seem. I really believe that, like, when we do leave this body and we're going through our life review, all the stuff that we put the most, quote, significance on is going to be completely insignificant. And all the stuff that we thought was insignificant is going to be like, there you are. See, that's why we loved you. We watched you struggle and sacrifice and push and endure, and then we watched you encourage and support and love through that. And that's why we were like all cheering you on the whole time, and you couldn't even hear us. Like, I think we really need to cut ourselves some slack here and celebrate that we really do a good job the 99.9% of the time. So I love you guys. I hope you have a great week, and prayers up for anybody that wasn't here today that needs them. And hopefully Samantha got her mama straightened out there on the side of the road.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, sure. Definitely want to send out love and warm thoughts to everyone who couldn't join us today. And uh, yeah, absolutely. I think finding, just finding joy in ourselves sometimes isn't so easy. We get in this kind of momentum where we're our thoughts and everything are going in one direction. It's kind of like stopping a high-speed fan blade. You're trying to have to you know take a few whacks before it slows down enough to where you can get it to stop, and then you can start turning things in the opposite direction. Takes a little work, but if we do the mental work, to even if it's just repeating mantras or just repeating positive words that mean, bring joy to our own selves, just repeating those over and over in our head, to where our our um, our subconscious starts to recognize that it's something that's important to us, and as well as enjoying the feelings that those thoughts bring in the moment. We do that. We do that work, that can have a lot of actually a really great effect. And I think it's something. I mean, that's how it's helped. It's really helped me to put in the work and effort to do that. Um, it's sort of like just replacing negative thoughts that we might have, or that negative momentum, or filling a void of nothingness that we might have in our thoughts, with something positive, something warm and loving for ourselves. We put ourselves in the right state of mind, then we can offer that to the world throughout our day. So I love you guys. Appreciate you so much. Have a great weekend.
I'm going to throw my last little bit out. It's kind of along the same sentiments of what you both said, but I'm going to throw out a little challenge to everybody. One, for me, it's connecting with God and realizing, how, and my connection with that and everything, and realizing that the creative person I am came out of that love, that perfect love, and was part of what brought me here. And then I want to throw out this challenge, and I'm going to try and do this is, maybe in the morning when you first get up, if I know some people do like affirmations, or, I know Samantha does some type of meditation type stuff sometimes. I know Catherine does things that she does. For me, I'm going to try and remember to take that moment, one, to connect with God, infinite intelligence, universe, however, but also connect with myself by saying, good morning, beautiful, and starting the day off, just trying to start off on that note with that love, and hopefully have that radiate out. And then at the end of the day, trying to remember to, give thanks also back to God, the universe, for the ability to live and do this life, but to also then again give myself love at the end of the day and say, good night, beautiful. So that way I'm trying to stay connected with, in the book, he calls it your higher self. Me, I'm staying connected with source or God or whatever, but also internally taking it to myself, and hopefully staying focused on that. So then as the day goes on, and maybe even reminding myself every now and then during the day to say, hello, beautiful, or, keep at it, beautiful, or something, to where, I'm taking that moment to try and stay connected. So that's my challenge for everybody, to maybe try that and see if it does something, see if it helps, maybe helps your mindset going through the day. And hopefully maybe that will radiate out some more love to everybody, and maybe open up more love to flow throughout everywhere, and that can radiate back throughout. So with that, this has been the Saturday Morning Mastermind. We're reading the book Whatever Arises. Love that. I love Revolution That Begins With You by Matt Kahn. You can find us on Facebook at Mindset Mastery Collective. On there, you can get involved on our pages there. You can find out ways of how to join us on the live stream. If you want to be a panel, you can get a hold of any one of us through that. You can also find us on YouTube at Mindset Mastery Collective. Also there, we have replays of all our videos of everything we've done over the last 7-8 years. And you can also go to our website at Mindset Mastery Collective. There's all sorts of information and ways to plug in and become a part of this. And we would love to have you join us and look forward to that. So with that, I love you guys and appreciate you all. And that's it for the Saturday Morning Mastermind.